So what is staging, committing, tracking changes, and whatnot? Let's take a look at how Git explains it in the general workflow. So we have a working directory, which is our parent folder, essentially, and anything within the folder which the Git software tracks. We have a staging area, in which we say, hey, Git, please take a look at this file or all of these files, and please track them for us. Whether it's one file, every file, all the directories, a single directory, we'll explore that in a little bit. And then we have a commit, which is essentially like a save. Think of it like if you're playing a video game. We are at some point in a game, we reach a certain stage in the game to, a certain boss fight, something like that. We say, okay, we want to save here and continue. So we tell the game to save here. So this is kind of like our staging area. And then we continue. And then the last save is our commit. And we keep going and we make another save. We put some changes up to another save. And now we create another save, the second save, and we keep going. And then we can maybe go back to a save or go back to saves and whatnot. That's the general idea. So let's explore that and what it means within our bookstore. Let's clear this up just to make this a little neater. Let's go back to our VS Code code editor, and let's then take this initial commit and stage it first of all, and then commit it. Basically, save the commit, right? So we have 3 books. Fine. Let's do git status again. Our messages on branch main, no commits yet, untracked files. So Git is already giving us a sort of a hint. What do we need to do? Well, we need to tell Git that, hey, I want you to track this file, because sometimes you don't want Git to track all the files. We'll come back to that in a little bit later. But some files you don't want Git to track. Some files are for your eyes only. But in this case, we're gonna say, hey Git, please do track this file, and we're gonna be tracking any changes to the file. So we'll use the command git add, and then we'll point it to the file bookstore.txt. We will press enter, and let's do git status again. Now it's a little bit different, right? Still on branch main. It says no commits yet, changes to be committed, new file. So Git is telling us, hey, I have a new file that I'm tracking. This is the bookstore.txt file, but nothing's committed yet. Let's pop back to VS Code. Now, everything is still green, right? Nothing has really changed. We haven't really done anything to it, but let's go and commit this file. Well, we're essentially going to say, okay, now this file, we're going to update. We're going to save our changes, and we'll let Git manage our changes. So I'll clear this up, and we'll do it with the following command: git commit -m. -m is a message. The message here is kind of like, think of it like a note, right? If you're changing something and you're working with other people, you want them to understand what you're changing or why you're changing it. What are you doing? What changes have been made? So whenever somebody is working on code with you, they see, okay, so Bob did this, and Steve did this, and Anna did this, right? And these are the explanations for it. A note about conventions. There are 2 schools of thoughts that are bitter at each other. Either use past tense or present tense. So for example, I can either say added 3 books. So I'm using past tense here, and basically I'm saying like I have added 3 books to our book database, right? Official Git documentation says to be more imperative, kind of like you're talking to your code base. So using present tense. So in this case, I would say add 3 books. Either or, doesn't really matter. It's just a message. And whichever company you work with, they're gonna have a handbook about their like standards and practices. As long as everybody's on the same page, so to speak, it doesn't really matter. But let's do that. So let's commit -m and add 3 books, and we have something, right? Main root commit 1 file change 3 insertions. Create mode something 10.00644 bookstore.txt. Git is telling us a couple of things. That we have 1 file, it has changed, it has 3 insertions. Well, that's nice. It actually counted the number of lines we have changed, right? And it says we have created this bookstore.txt, right? And if we say git status again, now we have on the branch main, nothing to commit, working tree clean. So what does that mean? And let's kind of explore that a little bit more. To answer a couple of things, let's take a look at our VS Code now, right? Now, you might notice that while this was colored green before, and really depending on your VS Code settings, it might be green, it might be like off blue. It really just depends on the VS Code settings. Now it's back to color white. I have certain color theme applied, so it might be different essentially. But it was one color before, now it's different, right? Let's take a look at our source control, right? We don't have anything there. Nothing is telling us no messages, right? Let's go back to our terminal and let's do something called git log. Now I have something interesting. Git is telling me that on March 25th at 7 p.m., 5 p.m., I have made a change, and this is where the username, right, and email for Git configuration are important. So author, who did that, right? So I set it to my username, I set it to my email, right? And this is where the message is important. I said, hey, I have add 3 books. So I'm using the present tense, so I'll try to keep going with that convention. You can use past tense. Again, there's a fight about this, and I have no idea who's right. It really just depends on what the company decides on, the company that you're working with. All right, so let's go and explore some more, right? Let's open this up, and we will add another change. I will say I will add a book to Android's Dream of Electric Sheep, and the 2 towers is for now sold out. All right, let's save that in VS Code, and let's see what happens. Now, before my text file was green, now it's off yellow, I suppose, and it's giving us a hint. It is giving us a hint. Depending on what extensions you have installed, we'll talk about extensions in our next video. We will go back to our terminal for now. Let's keep there with the basics. We'll clear this up and we'll say git status. Git status will tell us we're on the branch main. We do have changes not staged for commit. So please add a file to update what will be committed, or use git restore file to discard changes in working directory. Git is telling us something very important. Hey, you told me to watch a file called bookstore.txt in your last command. I'm watching it. There are changes here, right? And it's saying you've made some changes, but you haven't really done anything with them yet. Okay. So I will go and say, okay, well, fine, git add bookstore.txt. And well, let's see what happens. Seems like nothing, right? But let's do git status again. And we have this now in green. It wasn't red before. Git was essentially trying to give us a warning. Hey, you changed something, but yeah, I'm not really sure if you want to keep the changes, right? And now it's in green and says, hey, changes are ready to be committed, right? So do you want to commit those changes? Do you want to create another checkpoint? Do you want to do, like in a game, are you going to create another save point? So let's do that. Let's check out VS Code. Still, in yellow, nothing has really changed. We'll explore the extensions a little later, right? And let's do that, right? So I'll do another commit, git commit -m, and we'll say updated book availability. Great. And interesting, something was really interesting here, right? File changed, 4 insertions, 2 deletions. So what is it telling us, right? It's telling us that I've added some lines and I had 1 deletion, which is kind of weird, right? Because we didn't really delete a line, and that's where Git can be a little confusing, right? It's picking up this as a deletion, even though we changed it from just a 2 towers to 2 towers dash sold out, right? But what Git does behind the scenes is it goes in here, removes this line, and it inserts this line. So in fact, why these 4 insertions are there? Because you think, okay, well, hold on, right? What do you mean 4 insertions? No, deletions. What do you mean? No. I just edited a line and I just, inserted a line. So 1 insertion, right? But actually what happened is this line got removed, replaced with the 2 towers, skipped over another line, added another line, and that's how it counts things. So that's where it can be a little bit confusing, essentially. But it tracks it for us, right? Now, if we go back now, everything is nothing is yellow, green, red anymore, and whatnot. And Git is tracking changes for us again. And let's see what git log will tell us. Now we have a couple of new things, right? Now, author, me, has a new log, update book availability. And the most recent one will appear on the top. There's a reverse command. There's so many commands, but we'll just focus on the basics right now. The most recent one will appear on top, and the last one will be all the way at the bottom. So these are essentially the add and commit requests. But let's see what happens if we have a new file. Now let's say we make a new file here, right? So let's clear this up. Let's ls it, and let's make a customers.txt. Okay, cool. Let's go in here, right? And let's say that in the customers.txt, we will have our, I don't know, members of the bookstore. So we'll have Bob and Zara and Steve and Anna. And we have some customers, right? Now, in VS Code, this customers.txt is green. And again, this is how GUI tools have evolved over the next couple of years, which is amazing because take a look a little bit to the right. It says untracked. VS Code is giving us a hint that this file within this Git repository is untracked, meaning that Git knows about it. This is the important thing. So Git knows about it, but Git is not watching for any changes to this file. So let's take a look here, right? Let's go and check out with git status, right? On branch main, untracked files, customers.txt. So Git is saying, hey, this is not being tracked right now. If you want me to track it, add me to it. Meaning what, right? If I go to the bookstore and I will add another book, right? I will save that here. This will be one color, and again, it will depend on your color scheme in VS Code. And take a look to the side. It says modified. Customers.txt untracked, right? Modified, untracked. Very, very important, right? VS Code has been really upping their game, for lack of a better word, on their integration with the Git software. Literally a couple years ago, it was much more tedious to do this. But now it's actually giving us a hint. Hey, you have a new file within your Git repository, but it's not a tracked one, right? So let's step back here and go to Git status. So it says, all right, on branch main, changes on stages for commit. So git add this file and git add this file, right? Now, if I say, hey, I want to add bookstore.txt and commit everything, it will only save the bookstore.txt. If I need to tell Git that I also want to track this file. So first, let's do this. So git add bookstore.txt, right? Let's clear this up again. Let's do git status. Now, changes are ready to be committed, right? Git is saying, hey, so you added bookstore.txt, right? I am ready to commit this book to our repository. But Git is telling us, wait, but also you have this as an untracked file. Do you want me to ignore it? And we will talk about git ignore later in the more expanded directions. But in customers.txt, Git says, I'm aware that this exists, but I'm not really doing anything with it. So you know what I'm going to do? Well, git add customers.txt, right? Git add customers.txt. There we go. I'll clear it up and then git status. Now, a couple of very important things that Git is telling us. We'll say that bookstore.txt is a file that I know about, and it's a modified file. And then customers.txt is a completely new file. So now we have two different changes, right? And we can commit that. -m add customers.txt, comma, update bookstore.txt. We'll say that. Now we have, again, a couple of things. 2 files changed, 7 insertions, 1 deletion, essentially. And if we go to git log, again, same thing. It tells us what we're changing. Very, very useful, right? Well, let's clear this up. Let's take a look here. And now everything is all dandy again, right? All right, well, let's say that we have, you know, profile1.txt, profile2.txt, and then profile3.txt. And we have customer profiles, right? So 1 is going to be Bob, and 2 is going to be Zara, and 3 is going to be who? Steve, and so on and so forth. And you know, for demonstration purposes, let's make a profile 4. And we will add, what do we want to add in there? We want to add Anna, right? Whoops. We want to add Anna. Great. We'll save it all, save all. We'll go back to our terminal and we'll do get status. Now, Git is telling us, okay, you have a bunch of new things. So we can add them one by one, or we could do a shortcut called git add, and then either this period will say git add everything recursively, essentially, or dash dash all will add all of the untracked files. Now, this is a powerful command, so sometimes you want to use it. Sometimes you don't want to use it because maybe you just created a file with, some personal passwords that you don't really want to expose to everybody. But in this case, it's kind of like a shortcut. We can add a bunch of files that we created, right? So if you go back to git status, and now all of these files are in there, right? And then we can go ahead and commit them with a message called on the commit message, create 4 profiles, and that's that, right? We go back and we go back to get status, nothing to commit, git log, and now we have a bunch of changes. Again, it starts from the first one, and the top one is the most recent one. So adding, committing, those are basically the basics for now. And let's, in the next video, explore how we can remove changes, step back, because sometimes you might want to go to the previous change. Sometimes you want to go and step back to the previous version of the software, or let's say going back on the game checkpoint. Oh wait, I did something wrong. Let's go back to the previous one. So let's take a look at that in the next video.